Okay, hey everyone. Thank you so much for your patience and everyone running around a bit fixing before we start. So great to see so many familiar faces today. So really nice to see you all and welcome to Google and this event together with Keywordio. We have a fully packed agenda for you today. And then we wrap up with some after work and mingle just outside here where you come in earlier today. So the team here from Keywordio will start sharing a little bit about full funnel marketing and why we have this event today. And hopefully this will be something that you are all familiar with. Then my team from Google will take you through how it is to actually realize your full funnel strategy on YouTube, from awareness to action. Also talking about the creative side of YouTube and how you can measure your success and the operational excellence. And then you will end from Keywordio with a bit more of operational excellence and how they can support you in your journey. And then we will learn from others through a panel discussion with two of our joint clients here today. So with that, I will wish you all so much welcome and hand over to Jonas to talk about full funnel strategy. Thank you.
Thanks, Matilda. And yeah, we're really excited. Me and Morten, we have been waiting for this day for a long time now. And like we have shared in the emails, it's been really overbooked, this event. And we were not able. We have a lot of people on the live stream here. So also big welcome to you guys who join online. So let's kick it off. What do we do at Keywordio? We will talk a lot today about from awareness to action and full funnel marketing. And this is, I mean, back in the days when Morten worked at Google, of course, paid search was really the core. We have seen today that it's very important to combine this through the full journey in the funnel. So we work today with paid search, paid social, creatives, marketing automation, and of course AI and data that we're going to share some examples with. So this is really what we do at Keywordio. And of course a really close collaboration with Google on this. Here are some of the clients that we are very proud to see. You will hear some stories from Houdini and also from Frank Dandy later today. But really, we work with everything from like e-com startups to big global brands, B2B, B2C, finance and technology. So a lot of different mix in the type of clients that we help with their digital marketing journey. And why our customers trust us when it comes to Google, it's really, this is one of the major reasons. We manage around 650 million SEK in ad spend per year on Google Ads. And of course, that's a lot of learnings and insights from this. And we see that Google is really a core part for the media mix for many of our clients globally. So this is something that I am very proud of, and also being rated as a top agency in the Nordics. So let's talk about from awareness to action. And you see that I have my power hoodie on. How many have a power hoodie from Houdini here in the audience? Yeah, everyone should have one. And Morten, I know you have, how many do you have?
With power hoodie or all of them?
All of them.
Maybe 15?
Yeah, 15. So when it comes to going from awareness to action, what if you can make ads that make the product the hero of the story? What if you can make the power hoodie speak? This picture, this is one of many great moments I have had together with my power hoodie. I woke up on the beach in the base of Grand Canyon. I have slept under the stars here with the power hoodie on. And I mean, what if you can actually tell these stories throughout your marketing? This is exactly what Houdini did with their big campaign, The Storyteller. So let's watch this one. It should be sound.
Maybe it's only for those watching.
Yeah. We will share all links afterwards. And Angelica, who joined the panel, will also see this. You will talk about this campaign, but anyway, you will get the link afterwards so you can see it. It's a lot better with sound, of course, but the point here is that here in this campaign, you're actually telling the whole story from the product's point of view. So you can follow the Power Hoodie. She's traveling with her owner. She's going for climbing, and it's just a great way to actually put the product in the center of it. So we'll share that with everyone now, and we can see that afterwards. And it's not only about making one video that will make this campaign work. It's really to tell the story and work through the whole funnel, really, from awareness all the way down to action. And like I mentioned here, writing it from the product's perspective. It's like, this Power Hoodie, I think she hates me, and this is about her owner. Like being thrown on the ground if you're a climber. This is a famous climber that brings this Power Hoodie along everywhere. And typical Power Hoodie is used during 10 years, and you have a lot of stories to share on this. This is another part of this campaign. Here is a famous skier that actually used his Power Hoodie, and like he said, I used to live in the house, now I live in the garage. And of course, this is a very, it's a clothing part for him that he has used a lot and that he really loves. So I think this is a great way and a great example to really put the product in the center of the story. If you have read the report from Google for a couple of years ago, From Awareness to Action, this is a big study on psychological behavior and how you actually make people go from something that trigger you, how you go through exploration and evaluation, and then make the purchase in the end. So this one is just released an update on this. And there is a couple of things that is very important for us in marketing that you need to think about for each step. And how you actually make people go through the exploration part and the evaluation phase. So let's look at a couple of examples what is important to think about in these stages. So of course people talk about what's the unique selling point, but that's very important to understand like where you are in the customer journey. Are you trying to explain the unique selling points if you're in the exploration phase or in the evaluation phase? Because you will look at different things in the different stages. And this is something Sarah will talk a lot more about when it comes to best practice for creatives. And then of course you also need to think about what's the objection that the potential customers has in their head in the exploration phase and in the evaluation phase. So for example, in the evaluation phase, if you lack of urgency, there's no urgency here, that is an important part. Or can I trust the brand? Like, will this Power Hoodie give me what I want when I buy it? So thinking about objections and unique selling points is something that we see is very important all through the funnel. And like Angelica, you will share more about this in the panel discussion, but really working with a full funnel marketing strategy from brand awareness through prospecting, converting, and then upselling, and have different types of stories and content all through the journey. That is really a big part here. So based on the report, there are 6 clear behavior principles that you should really think about when it comes to prospecting and converting. And these are things that really can make a difference. In this report, they actually show that they can make people go from a preferred brand to actually shift to a completely other brand if you really nail these 6 different areas in your communication. So you can really make people go from awareness to prospection if you make this really good. And let's just take social proof as an example. And we can look at Houdini again, and I think Houdini does this really, really good when it comes to product pages. So how do you work with reviews on the product pages, for example? But this is also something you should have. Okay, do we have this communicated clearly in the retargeting layer, for example? Do we have it in the email following up? Are we making sure that we're trying to sort of handle the potential objections all through the funnel. And I think these are great examples how this can be used in different stages of the funnel, in ads, in email, and on product pages. So often it's easy to look at some examples and have opinions about them. And I'm going to show you an example how we do at Keywordio when it comes to drafting a full funnel message that you can work on. And I guess many people here work with GPT or Bard. I don't think anyone has gotten their hands on new Gemini from Google when it comes to AI yet, but we are really excited to see that. But let's do a quick demo of our customized version of GPT. So this is also something you will get access to later. So this is a customized version of GPT-4 that we have built at Keywordio. So this is trained to make sure that it can craft full funnel message based on really simple input. So here we just have a simple version of the brand story, and we're just asking about the full funnel marketing message template here. So what it does then is that it goes through the funnel, it reads the draft of the brand story. Of course, the better brand story and the more details you have, the more accurate it will be. But the point here is to really do a table where you have USPs, you have objections, and you have comments all through the marketing funnel. And having this as a template for discussion about how you want to experiment with your ads, with your message, and what you're missing in the funnel is a really great tool for this. And it's also labeling the different versions here with A1, A2, A3. So, of course, it's very seldom that you get the perfect message directly, but the point here is to have a good discussion with your content team, your creative team, and think about what objections are we trying to answer in a branding layer, for example. So this tool, it's specialized trained. You will not get this kind of replies in a standard prompt on GPT-4, but you will get it with this specialized version of GPT. So use it, test this, and drop it an email to say how you liked it. It's a great tool to start off a discussion. So here's the link to it. You will also get it later in the email. You need to have a paid version of GPT-4 to be able to use this. But it's free if you have the paid version. If you want to listen more about this kind of content, we don't have time to cover all of this in depth. I joined the podcast, the Swedish podcast Framtidens e-handel for a month ago. You can listen more on this in this podcast. So there we go into more of the details. So how to think about the full funnel, how to work with product market fit, and with that, I would like to hand over to Viggo.
Hello everyone. It's great to be here. I think the first thing that we need to take care of is Keywordio using Bard instead of ChatGPT for the next time that you're here. Anyways, my name is Viggo Akbari. It's a pleasure to see all of you here. I work for Google in Dublin, which means that I work with Keywordio on a day-to-day basis, and also quite a lot of clients in this room actually. Today, finally back in my hometown Stockholm. Amazing to be here, and one of the things that I will talk about really is to merely set the scene about why YouTube. Why is YouTube such a strong marketing platform? And then my brilliant colleagues, Sara and Clara, will take over and talk about operational excellence, both in terms of creatives, but also in like campaign setup on YouTube. But if we move on and we talk about why YouTube then, well, first question I'd like to ask you is Mello or Mauri? Who do you think got more views? The final of Melodifestivalen this year, or Mauri Hermunsson's Millionaire and Poor Student Changed Lives during one day? Well, since it's Google asking the question, I guess you can figure out the answer. But the answer is Mauri. And I spent 4 years at Coca-Cola in Sweden before I joined Google. So while I'm of course aware that advertising is limited on public service, I know how sought after the sponsorship deals are with Melodifestivalen. And I think this is quite a good example to show how the digital landscape is changing, how the trend is clear that more and more of the culture is now happening on digital and creator-driven platforms. Actually, YouTube reaches 4/5 of all Swedes every week. And not only does it reach 4/5 of all the Swedes, we also watch 45 minutes on average of YouTube every day. And while YouTube, in my opinion, has generally been a platform for longer content, YouTube is now the only multi-format platform, which is very fun to be up here on stage and talk to you about this, because we now have new formats for to meet the new demands of users, but also to meet the new demands of advertisers. And one of the newest formats then is YouTube Shorts. We launched YouTube Shorts 3 years ago, and this year YouTube Shorts for the first time surpassed 70 billion daily views globally. And not only is it 70 daily views globally, it's also with 2 billion signed in users every month. And what I think is worth mentioning with Shorts, and especially when you're talking to advertisers, I think that the way that we tend to watch YouTube differs when we watch Shorts in comparison to the older material that's been more active on users before. Because when we watch Shorts, we're more in the mood for discovery, meaning that we have a great environment then for advertisers to reach new audiences. And YouTube is changing in more than one way. It's not only with Shorts, it's also with connected TV. Today, almost 9 out of 10 households have a connected TV, and almost half of the Swedish population have watched YouTube on their TV screens. I think it's estimated that in the next 3 to 5 years, digital video will overtake linear TV. So the landscape is changing, and we need to do as well as advertisers. But if we circle back then to why YouTube. And if we take a look at this slide, we can see that our friends on TikTok are doing an amazing job with duration per session. But TikTok has less active users than our friends at Meta and us at YouTube. So ultimately, I would argue that YouTube is in a sort of sweet spot when it comes to broad reach and deep user engagement, which we can then effectively use to generate demand and to sustain long-term business growth for our brand. If we take a look specifically at users in Europe, we can see, as we saw on the slide before, we have the most active users on YouTube. But one thing that I think is worth mentioning from a YouTube perspective, and a quite common myth, I would argue, is that a lot of people tend to think that there are more, or not only, but a lot of just young users on YouTube. But here we can see that 2/3 of the users on YouTube are actually over 25 plus. So we know that there's a lot of spending power on YouTube if we compare it to many other social platforms. I think this can also be quite well explained by how we tend to use these platforms differently. I know that if I take a look at how I use the social platforms, which I of course do on a day-to-day basis, I tend to maybe look at content from friends and family. What are my friends doing? Why am I not on the Maldives today? Why am I here in this gray city, although it's great? Whereas maybe on YouTube or the other Google feeds, I tend to then look for and research products and brands, which I don't do to the same extent on the social platforms. So to summarize then, really, people turn to YouTube for shopping every day. And in a study that was made by TalkShop, YouTube ranked as the #1 social video services and media platforms that users choose when researching for a product or a brand. And then TikTok, Instagram, streaming services, Facebook, and linear TV following. So this is really me just merely setting the scene for YouTube, why it is a strong marketing platform, specifically in Sweden. Now I am happy to hand over to Sara, who will talk to you about creatives and how to make the most of YouTube.
we have sound, at least. Hi, I'm Sara, and I work as creative lead at Google Creative Works. And what do? We analyze thousands and thousands of ads at YouTube to learn what works and why does it work and what doesn't work. We do this across verticals, across formats, and across different countries. So we have learned a lot, and it's my job to bring it to you. So that's why I'm here. And this is your average media consumer. This is us watching YouTube or any kind of media. And of course, your advertisers, you want them to stop and watch your ad. And the biggest impact of your results of the campaign is really the creative. And this is where you can do a lot to make people, not like that cat, but like this cat, stop and watch. At YouTube, we have a lot of best practices. I'm just going to share a few of them today, and then you get some in the follow-up email after as well. But the fundamentals is really this, and this is what you should remember. Build for attention, and we'll get to the examples later. And it's really about hooking the viewer early, and building for mobile. Mobile, even if connected TV is the biggest growing screen where we watch, mobile is still the biggest. And we have found if you create your creatives for mobile with a small screen in mind, you will also have the great effect on the big screen. And I will get to the examples. And then we come to you to watch something and listen to it. So really, it's a sound-on platform, and this is something that's super underutilized still by advertisers. So really think about everything with sound, voiceover, music, branding, everything you have. Building for attention. And now I'm a little bit sad that we don't have sound, it seems. Don't know if it's fixed, no. Okay, but I think you get the idea anyway. Building for attention is a lot about sound, of course, but I'm gonna show you an ad, and I'm only gonna show you the first 6 seconds of it. Why? Because at YouTube, if you run TrueView, you can skip after 5 seconds. So between 5 and 6 seconds is really where your consumer has choice to either stay and watch or skip. So that's why something really needs to happen there and at the start. So this is the first 6 seconds. Okay, in addition to what you saw, there was also music, loud music, and you saw that the people were talking. So they were actually, you saw the copy there, they were actually saying it as well. So we got the branding there, there was fast pacing, it was bright colors, it was pretty close-ups, and we got the brand, both we could hear it and we could see it. So that's the best practice. And it's even funny with music, but let's watch the rest of it so you can see what I mean with attention. So this is the first part. Anyone know what song this might be? Okay, so I think a lot of us noticed Hammer Time and the song. We could probably hear it in our heads at least. I'll send it to you after as well. So we're talking about attention and creating for attention. So if we break this down, we've had the first 6 seconds, and this is before the skip button show up. So and in this case, we dive right into the action. Something happens. We saw the brand, we could hear the brand, and then around 5-6 seconds, it was like build further connection. We had the pop-up with the head over there early, and then unfolding the story, sustaining the attention, and then we are rewarded for attention with a big finish, Hammer Time, and the product always in focus. So I think this is really catching attention. And creating for attention is something you need to do, even if you're creating a bumper ad, which is 6 seconds, non-skippable, or a 2-minute long ad, which we know works really well for consideration, for example. So really sustaining attention throughout the ad is important. And it's about rethinking the story arc. So this is the new story arc. So starting high, throw the viewer into the action, and then have multiple peaks and branding throughout, And then also think about, what do we want to leave the viewer with? We're in a digital world. We always need to make them think or feel something or do something. So really think about, where do you want to lead them? I get a few more examples of that. Building for mobile. I already mentioned a few best practices, but what does this mean? It's really about going close to a product, to a face. Face is really something that grabs attention, or keeping the pacing pretty fast with different scenes. And also using contrast. Most of us has a bit of dimmed screen when we watch a mobile, so really brighten up the ad. I have an example here of a TVC that we received. This is an old one. This is the original version. It had no lift when we ran it at Brand Lift at YouTube. And what I want to illustrate with this example is also that you can do a lot with old ads. Let's say I had a lot of advertisers this Q4 that wanted to repurpose ads from last year. It's Christmas, and it's possible to do a lot with what you already got. So this was the original version, and this was the edited version. We added supers, copy, saying it's late, it's midnight. Go a little bit flipping the scenes, but going closer to a face, adding the brand, brighten up, and then leave with the copy as well. And just by doing these really small tweaks, we saw big impact, 66% ad recall lift and 10% purchase intent, which was best in class at this time. And branding. Branding is of course important. And when you run true views, you can skip after 5 seconds. So no matter if someone watched or skip, you still need to get your brand out there. And you can do this by so much more than just adding a logo. Like this Sainsbury's example, it's a lot of colors, product, taglines, Old Spice, I think many of us have seen those ads, those are great. Product in focus, or of course, or the service. But use really everything you got. Audio. Everyone probably can think about McDonald's ad, we can hear it in our head. So think about what you have and use all of it. Early, often, and richly throughout the ad. And again, sound on. It has an effect on all metrics, on all marketing objectives, awareness, consideration, and action. Okay, so that was the basics. If you want to go a little bit deeper in building for objective, we know that that has a big impact, so you can do a lot here. We did a study, and we saw that of all of advertisers who use only one ad across the whole funnel, from awareness to action, only over 50% of ads did not achieve top performance on any objective. Less than 30% of ads achieved top performance on one objective, and less than 10% of ads achieved top performance on 3 objectives. So it's really important. You can use the same concept and base of the ad, but you really need to think and tweak for objective, what you want to achieve. So this is something you will receive after, our ABCD principles. And that stands for attention, I talked about it, hooking the viewer, keeping the attention throughout the video. Branding, connection, make people think or feel something, and then always ask them to take action. And this is the basic of our ABCDs, but then we have breaking it down by research going in to learn what works for awareness, consideration, and action. And let me share a few examples. When you're creating for awareness, branding, here's an example. It's just a GIF, so there won't be any sound anyway, but you can guess. It's everything from music, sound of pouring the beer, and then a voiceover combined with this text at the end. So it's really mixing a lot of sound effects to have an impact. Branding, front and center, super important for awareness, and making people core to the story. For awareness, we have seen that famous people, celebrities, is something that works well. For a lower mid-funnel, it's not as important. Everyday people like you and me works very well for those objectives. And also be different yet simple, try to stand out in some way. I think this colorful and rich ad by Samsung is a good example of that. And for consideration, we saw an example from Houdini here earlier. I think that was really a good example of featuring the product as the hero of the ad, which is something you need to do for consideration. And also dare to take longer time to build your story. We see that 2 to 3 minutes has a sweet spot and works super well because we can also keep the attention if it's a good story at YouTube. So really try to make longer and with the product in focus for consideration. And then also show how something works. Show how the product or the feature work. In this case, Land Rover shows a simple feature. And it's really about making your consumers see themselves using the product. Something that works really well for that is also being relatable by using or partnering with influencers. And I'm sure a lot of you already work with influencers. So I would also, something we see works really well at YouTube is taking those collaborations that you have and make ads out of them. It works super well, and it's very, very native to YouTube. And then, of course, plant the seed of urgency for consideration. Jonas talked about this as well. Mint Mobile has great ads. I would encourage you to check out the YouTube channel to get inspired. But they're really good at always. This is something they always use. But yeah, they have offers. And the last one for action here is really like making the product the ad itself. Going close, I talked about this for mobile, going close, keeping the product in center, and be exact, but keep it clear, keep the message clear. Don't mess with too many products in the same ad, try to break it up instead. Be clear about your message and the product. And also like set the context and then present at the ask. If you want your consumers to go do something, like in this case, HelloFresh says shop from home with a single tap. That's the message. So that was a quick intro to YouTube. And I just want to leave you with saying that for us, YouTube is a creative opportunity, and it has never been more exciting, and it's really a creative playground and canvas for you. And where long and short can live together, Viggo talked about this as well. You can anchor with the long form, short form, shorts, organic content, going into personalized ads. There's so much you can do, and it's all has a place at YouTube. That's it from me.
Hello, everyone. My name is Clara Lennemark, and I work as an accelerated growth consultant in our Swedish team in Dublin, where I work with some of our fastest growing clients in Sweden. And for many of them, YouTube is a very important strategy for growth. So today I will speak about operational excellence. And if you love the creative parts of marketing, then maybe this is not really your favorite topics, but it's very important to get the best results with your YouTube campaigns. And of course, today we have AI that will do a lot of this for you, but we still have to put in some inputs into the campaign, and of course we need to set our objectives and KPIs, but we don't today have to, for example, set our manual bids or even create all different types of ad formats because AI will do a lot of that for you. But I will talk about some operational excellence to help you on your journey towards YouTube excellence. Who in here has set up a YouTube campaign before, or at least build a strategy for it? Yeah, good. So then, for those of you who have done it, you will know that there are a lot of different things to take into consideration, and YouTube campaigns can be pretty complex. But I will try to give you some best practices. It's hard to, we can speak about excellence or operational search excellence, for example, which is pretty straightforward. It's not as straightforward for YouTube, and I would love to give you a whole checklist with all the best practices that we have, but it's not as easy. But I will walk you through what I think are some important steps to set up a good strategy for YouTube. So you've all seen the marketing funnel before, but as Jonas mentioned before, it's not as straightforward as, or it's not as linear as we might see it here, but we'll use this as a framework to kind of walk through the process of building a media strategy. So first of all, the first step of creating a YouTube campaign is to decide what is the objective of our campaign. Do we want to create awareness for our product or for our brand? Do we want people to consider our brand or product over our competitors? Or do we want to get our customers to take action today? The next thing you will have to do is to define what is success for your business or for your YouTube campaigns. Because depending on your objective, we should also have different KPIs. And some of you might think that, of course, I know my objectives and I know my KPIs, and that's amazing, because you would be surprised with how many marketeers that I meet that have no idea what their objectives are or what their KPIs are. And even if they think they know, it's quite rare that the KPIs and objectives are actually aligned. So let's look at what different success metrics could be for your different marketing objectives. If we look at an awareness campaign, we would recommend looking at, for example, reach or awareness lift. So you can do a brand lift study. You can also measure ad recall lift. But if we move to consideration, we can also measure a consideration lift as a KPI. And we can also look at website traffic. And moving further down into the funnel, we have conversions. So if our goal with the campaign is action, we can measure number of conversions. So here we can look at, for example, sales or leads, but we also recommend looking at micro conversions such as add to cart or product viewed or time spent on site. So the next thing we want to do is to, of course, decide, like, how do we reach our goal? How do we reach the people that can help us achieve what we want to achieve? So for awareness campaigns, we want to reach the people that don't already know of our brand or don't have it top of mind. So here we can use audiences such as detailed demographics. We can also use affinity audiences, which is what people are interested in or their lifestyle. And we can also use custom audiences, which is audiences that you build yourself based on, for example, which websites the customers have searched for, keywords they've searched for, or even apps that they've used. Moving on to consideration, here we want to reach people that either already know your brand and are considering different brands, or that don't know your brand but that have shown some type of intent. That they are interested in maybe buying a product. And here we can use audiences such as life events, so people that are going through a major life event such as graduating from school or getting married, moving houses, for example, because this can indicate that they are in need of a certain product or service. And we can also use in-market audiences, so an audience that shows that they've shown interest in buying a certain product. And lastly, for driving action, we want to target the highest intent users that probably know of your brand already or have in some way shown that they are interested in buying what you offer, or perhaps even interested in buying what your competitors offer. And we can reach these people by targeting those who have searched for specific search terms on either Google or on YouTube, or also who have visited certain websites. And here we can also engage with customers that have previously visited your website or even bought from you before by leveraging your first-party data and customer match lists. I would love to walk you through all the different types of ad formats that we have, but there's quite a few, so we don't have time for that today. But I just wanted to highlight that depending on your goal with your campaigns, we have different ad formats that are designed differently to reach your goals. So maybe next time you watch YouTube, you can have a look and see if you can spot the different types of ad formats that we have. Moving on, having different marketing objectives also means that we should have different bidding strategies. And this is something that we've already taken care of for you. So depending on which ad formats you choose, it will also have different bidding strategies. In some cases, you can also choose, depending on what you want to achieve with your campaign. But I'll just quickly mention so that you understand the different strategies. So for awareness campaigns, we have target CPM, which is target cost per mil or cost per 1,000 impressions. So here we bid towards getting as many impressions as possible for our bid. On the consideration stage, we have CPV, which is cost per view, or maximize clicks, which is available for our newest campaign type, which is called demand gen, that some of you might have already tried. And then for our action campaigns, we have target CPA or maximize conversions. So here we bid towards getting as many conversions as possible, either just based on your budget or based on your target CPA. And another very important thing is to, of course, make sure that you have a strong tracking and measurement in place, because we want to be able to measure the impact we have of our campaign. And I think this is maybe one of the tricky things with YouTube, especially if you're very performance focused. It's hard to sometimes see the impact of our YouTube investments. But it doesn't have to be. We have a lot of solutions for that as well. When it comes to awareness and consideration, what I really highly recommend is to run a brand lift study, which is a survey that we can do to measure how much your YouTube campaign has lifted either your brand awareness or ad recall or even consideration. So that's something that your account strategies can help you set up and give you access to. When it comes to action, when we want to measure conversions, I really recommend having the Google Ads Pixel in place, because that allows us to not only track click-through conversions and engaged view conversions, but also view-through conversions, which is actually by default included in our competitors' platforms. Having the Google Ads Pixel also allows us to have enhanced conversions, which we see gives us an uplift in YouTube conversions of 17%. So definitely a good thing to have in place. To help you build a strategy for YouTube, I can really recommend using our Reach Planner, which you can access in the Google Ads account. And again, if you don't have access to this already, you can reach out to your account strategist and they can give you access. It's a tool where you can, on every step of the funnel, plan for your YouTube campaign. So it will give you forecasts of how many people you can reach, the number of views, and even conversions based on your input. So for example, the market you want to target, the audiences, time period, and budget. So this is a really good tool. I use it for all my clients to build strategies together with them. So I highly recommend using this. So to summarize, we need to tailor our objective, format, and strategy for the different phases of the funnel. What we see is that investing in the different stages of the funnel has a higher impact versus just having a single approach. A study done on consumer packaged goods showed that we could increase conversion rate to almost a double by having the full funnel strategy compared to just having action, for example. So that's something we really, that's like something I work with my clients on a lot. I know that it's really, it's easy to focus only on the performance campaigns because that's where we see the immediate results. But I think this shows that it's really important to invest in also awareness and consideration stages. And now I'm going to hand over to Morten to talk more about how to get your clients or customers to take action after you bring them through the whole funnel.
Thank you so much. And I think that TikTok and Facebook and all the rest are saying the same. So yeah, it's good to see. You want to come up here for the introduction, or should I just do it? My name is Morten. I'm one of the co-founders of Keywordio, and it's very nice to be here. And just once again, thank you so much to Google for allowing us to do this with Google. So we've talked a lot about creatives. Let's talk a little bit about Pmax. Most of you have maybe worked with it. It's a bit more on the demand side of things. It started out as a little bit of a black box, I would say, but we now see that it's not a black box. It really depends on what you're putting into it. So somebody earlier said that on working on creatives, the creatives are the number one thing for success. And with Pmax, we see as well that it is really what you put into it. So do you have, first-party audiences enabled? Do you track for conversion value? But also, what kind of text do you put into it, and what kind of images do you put into it, and what are the qualities of the images and so forth? And then we can talk a little bit later about structure and so forth. But that is more if you have different products with different margins, then you could separate those out, right? But we will get back to that in the past or in the later on. So yeah. And moving on, it also really is a lot about feed quality. So if you work with performance marketing, you may work with a company like Channable for the feed quality. I think some of it you could also do inside of Google's own UI, I believe. But here there's really two parts. So there's the technical part of things, which is more like a check box kind of thing, where it's like, do you have new and used, right? You cannot really do it wrong. But on the other side, on the qualitative, you can really actually do it wrong, right? Because if you in your headline and you're selling whatever Samsung washing machine, if you just write washing machine, right, then that's very generic, right? So you need to make the best headlines, the best descriptions, and also with your price point. That is something that is, of course, everybody here has done a 20 or 30% discount to get more sales, and that's the easy part. But if you are priced at whatever, 1,500, and your competitors are priced at 1,200, with comparison shopping, most likely you won't sell that much. And if you do, then you have a really good brand, and congratulations. But yeah, and of course the creative, the image quality is also very important. And these are just three different images of a sneaker. And if we do a quick poll, which we will not, some of you may like number one, some of you like number two and number three. But it's really about A/B testing and seeing what your customers like, right? Some people like just the focus up of the shoe. Some people like it maybe more where you can also see the jeans and a bit of the legs. But really it depends on what your customers like. So our idea is to A/B test all the time for everything, right? But with Google Shopping, of course, the price you can maybe change. I don't know how many people do it. Maybe I think Houdini doesn't do it that often. But if you are in a market where the lowest price is the only thing that will work for you, then you need to do it a lot. I would say try to see if you can get it away from the price, because that is better for your business. But yeah, the A/B test, definitely the images. And then there's the technical part of it. On the next slide, I will show a slide where you can also see it online, but you can make a free test of your data quality of your feed. But we have a sister company called Adel, where you can check the let's say the quality of your feed. And yeah, you don't have to take up your phone right now, but this is the link you'll be able to share, and then you can see in the top right corner you can see the percentage. So, on the shopping, which is a big part of Pmax, of course, you have of course the price, and you have the description, and you have the logo or the image, right? So the title, if it just said washing machine, right, and somebody's searching for Samsung washing machine, maybe you won't show up. So here is really important that you show exactly what you think the users will be searching for. So that could be the brand. It could be the product, it could be the category, it could be attributes, so that could be size if it's shoe or color and so forth. And I remember when I used to work at Google, I remember Google was saying that everybody would be searching for a red car, and then of course they hope to get the Toyota X1 or whatever, right? But in reality, And that is one of the big problems for Google, to see what are we searching for and showing what the users want, right? But with products searches, you'll often see that people are searching exactly what they want, right? So your feed needs to image that or mirror that. And then also in the back of the room right now, we have one of my colleagues called Oscar. He did a podcast the other day with Jonas in Keywordio, and you can listen more because he made a deep dive into this and a lot more. I just have 10 minutes to talk about it, but Oscar did a very good podcast on this. You can listen to it on Spotify, and again, we will share the link later. And then, here we go. This slide is really to show that you should consider splitting up your Pmax campaign if you have different margins, for example, right? So let's say you have one group that has from 70 to 80%. Obviously, you don't want to run that in the same campaign as if you have 20 to 30%, because you would like to push the one that had higher margin more out there, let's say. And also it could be other reasons. It could be that there's a geographical difference, right? Let's say you're selling sofas. Maybe it's cheaper to send it 10 kilometers versus to the north of Sweden, right? So really you can split up your campaigns if you have a different, let's say, it could be profits, it could be shipping wise, it could be whatever. But the only reason, as I see it, to split up your campaign is either if you have another budget that you want to allocate to a new campaign, or there's a geographical difference. So those would be the two reasons to split up the campaign. And for budget, if you have one that has a really high margin, one that has a really low margin, for me that would be a reason to split it out. And then of course you get many suggestions from Google, but of course if you have a very high margin product, don't let it be limited by budget, right? Please. And I think over Black Friday you see that maybe the demand is crazy high. So of course your best product should never be underfunded or whatever that's called. So always fund your best products. And that is it from us. We would now like to invite Angelica and Tus to come up here, and Jonas, please come as well. You know what? Let's. Do you want to be in the middle, Jonas, or?
I can be in the middle.
There, middle.
Should we do like this?
Is it okay for the live stream as well?
Where's the makeup artist?
Yeah. So, is that okay for from the camera?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're super happy to have Angelica and Tus up here on stage. And like we said on the topic here, it's about learning from others and also sharing some great examples. But would you like start sharing, because both of you have really great careers. You have been working in London, and start sharing a bit about your background and where you started. And so I'm going to pass the mic to you, Tus, so you get the chance to start.
Okay, see if it's this one. Yes, I'm Tus. I started my career at Procter & Gamble, which is a FMCG company. Started in Nordics, then did a couple of assignments here from Stockholm, moved to London, then came back to Stockholm, and then realized that I knew nothing about e-com, so went into, started working at Nelly.com, and then now I'm at Frank Bundy.
Nice. I'm Angelica. I'm from Gotland originally, so you would hear the beautiful accent if I spoke Swedish. I moved to London when I was 19, straight after school, and stayed I was meant to stay for a year, but I stayed for 14 years. To my mom's she was upset. But I started there. I worked first at the Bausch & Lomb, which is pharma as well, but head of customer services for Europe. And then went into Decker's Brands, who own UGG, Hoka and Teva. It was just when Hoka started out and no one wanted them. They were, I don't know, now they're very big here, right? But I tried to get my friends to try these amazing shoes from Hoka, and I tried to get them for free, but no one wanted them, and now everyone wants them. But they were quite ugly back in the day. And then after 14 years, I was like, either I stay in London forever, or I went back to Sweden and got a chance to work for Fjällräven. Dragged my Australian partner back to Stockholm to see if we liked it or not. And then I always wanted to work for Houdini, and it was on my wish list for a very long time. So then the opportunity came, and I've been there for 3 years now, heading up the D2C channel, so e-com retail.
Thanks, and it's you both have great stories, and we're gonna dig into some of them. Tuss, I know you have a campaign that you're very proud of and that really made an impact. Can you share more about what that campaign was and what you learned from it? Okay, great.
Okay. So when I think this must have been 2017, I think. I was in London and working at P&G, and I worked within Femcare. And then there started to be like a big news about that girls weren't going to school when they had their period because they couldn't afford period protection. And obviously being, a massive company working with these type of products, we felt we needed to do something. But obviously we were not a non-profit organization. So we also needed to figure out how do we do this in a way where we can actually make a lot of money and stop SEA from growing. So what we did, we launched a campaign called End Period Poverty, which was where we donated for every pack we sold. And which is, really nice. And we built this amazing emotional campaign around it. But, you can't spend money on only emotional messaging. So we then partnered up with our retailers, so like Tesco, Sainsbury's, and all the retailers. And we said, okay, if we're going to do this, you need to give us more space in store. And for you, Tesco, for every pack we sell, we'll donate twice as much as we'll do in Sainsbury's. So they gave us twice as much share of shelf, which, allowed us to spend even more money into talking about this. So, at the end of the day, we grew like 5 points in market share, which is quite a lot of money if you're a big company. But it also really kind of sparked this debate even more. So like Ireland started giving away, like from the government, free period protection for all the girls in school. Like it actually became a really big thing. So I think like from that, the key takeaway was like you can make social, you can make impact, but actually also, making money from it, which I think is important. Yeah. And now they do it around the world, so it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, Angelica, I know that you work at Deckers and with Hookup, but you said it was before it became famous, right? So how did you work with, let's say, full funnel marketing, or was that even a word back then?
Oh, okay. As I said, Hoka, I was part of the e-commerce team, so not the marketing.
Okay.
But they really believed in their product, and I think they had a really hard time to get into the market back then. But what they did was they went to every running event in the UK and just handed out free shoes, because I think they believed in that much. So they just wanted people to try it, and when you try it, you realize you're walking on cloud, right? And everyone wants it. But they believed in their product, I think. So that's how they did it. And my friends now have to pay very expensive price for shoes, where they could have got for free.
I actually have a pair of Hokas myself, so I use them a lot for running. Well, you both have worked in London and then moved back to Stockholm. Do you have some experience to share from comparing like the working climate in Stockholm compared to London?
You want to go first?
No, I think you can go.
I felt like I retired when I moved back to Stockholm first. I was like, people leave at 5 o'clock, or they leave at 3 to pick up kids. I was like, didn't know it. But I'd only worked in London as well, so I grew up, I guess, working there. But there's many differences. There's some positive and negatives. I think they're a lot more hierarchical, which I kind of miss sometimes. Consensus of Sweden sometimes doesn't bring us forward. I like healthy friction, like we talked about before. Yeah. It's good to fight it out sometimes and then have a beer afterwards, which they're good at in London. But otherwise, I think you get a lot of opportunities in London as well. Here, I think they put you in a pocket quite quickly after you study and you go into like a career. There you get more opportunities by just transferable skills, I think. Because I started in customer services, got an opportunity in e-com, and grew from there.
No, but I agree 100%, and especially on the friction part, because I think in Swedish companies there's so many like gamla sanningar, you know, truths that go around for such a long time, and it's not really grounded in like data today. And especially if you're in e-com, it changes all the time. So I think this friction really brings us forward. Then of course it can be like a nice and fun climate, but you know, still really have the debate and speaking out, which I don't think Swedes do to the same extent as Brits do, which I think is not good.
And I will never get used to the summer holidays that just everyone disappears for, 2 to 3 months, but we can discuss that forever.
Yeah, I'm also not from Sweden, but I remember the first time the CEO was, I'm out of office and I'll be back in 5 weeks. And I was just like, okay, that was quite interesting. But yeah. So Angelica, working with, in my mind at least, quite a big Swedish brand, Houdini. How is that, let's say, different than working with, for example, Hookah? Because of course the brand is different, right? How many people know it, and how do you work differently with for example, Hookah versus Houdini?
I think Houdini's core is very mission-based. Like, we don't compromise on our values, which is new. I work for strong brands, but Houdini really don't compromise. But I think when I started 3 years ago, we had a very top upside-down funnel. 80% of our traffic was organic. We spent 1 million in digital marketing. So we have had a long journey to push the brand out in new markets. So that's been a learning curve for the whole team. We work really closely with brand marketing, but getting the whole team to change the way to work a bit has been a journey, and we're still learning. But I love working for Houdini. We have good products that we believe in, and I wanted to, grow it to a bigger brand, which it deserves.
And Tus, when it comes to that, I know you work a lot with creatives for the different stages of the funnel. Can you share some learnings and how you work with your team on that?
Yeah, so I think I think the most important thing is too few people look at CTR. So at the end of the day, you put money into a channel and you get a certain amount of impressions. Impressions times click-through rate is your traffic. So the same amount of money can generate so much more sales if you just continue to increase the performance of your creatives. And I think it's so important that you have the mindset needs to be 50% of creatives are going to fail and you're going to take them down. And it's not good enough having 5 creatives for a campaign. It's 25 creatives to start off with, and then 25 new creatives the next day. 25, continuing to take down what doesn't work. You find what works and you make 5 more versions of that. But really building that culture that focus on CTR, and it's not click-through rate is not how good of a creator you are. It's not, it's at the end of the day the channel that decides what works and what doesn't work. So I think that's what we look at every day. During Black Week we uploaded 7 new creatives per channel every day. Some days 15, 20 creatives. So yeah, I think it's super important.
Just a follow-up question to that. Maybe there's teams out here who are thinking to themselves, right, 25 creatives, that's quite a lot of work. How do you deal with that at Frank Dandy? Because I also know you're not 500 people who are just dedicated, here we have our video room, here we have 5 photographers and all this. So how do you work with that?
I think a creative is not necessarily a new shoot or a new, it could be a photo that you zoom in a different way. It could be, download CapCut and create something in 5 minutes. It's not, everything doesn't need to be top quality or starting from scratch. So it's really using what you have and making versions of that. I think it's what you guys talked about also, you can take old creatives, zoom in, but also focusing on how, try to find trends in your creatives. So for example, we know in underwear, if you cut off cut off the head, you have a higher CTR because it doesn't become as personal for the viewer. So try to find those type of like what angles are working. So I mean, you can. I think we had during Black Week, creative could take maximum 20 minutes to create. So we kind of put that like spend maximum 20 minutes, just put it up, and then if it doesn't have CTR that we need to have, take it down. You know, so.
And I think one thing that resonates with me is that you're saying like, I want 50% of the creatives to fail. So you're sort of like raising the bar on the metric that you evaluate, so you at least fail 50%. I think that is it's a smart way to actually drive the team and how can we be better together. Like, has it always been like that for you, or when did you figure this out?
You like for in the team?
Like working like that?
No, definitely not. I think it's really now that it's a couple of years ago. Like it was, quite an easy market, to be honest. Like everything was growing, e-com was growing. You didn't need to really be super detailed about things, but now you have to. So speed of things becomes so much more important, and I think it's a good mindset to have. But then, of course, this is more like then you have other creatives that take longer. If it's maybe a campaign with a bigger objective, or but especially in terms of conversion campaigns, just it's not always easy, and I know it's not always easy for the creators to just take things down. But that's how you need to work.
Yeah, you of course let the users decide, right? In the end, right? Cool. Angelica, I know you've worked on quite a lot of campaigns. Could you share one campaign that you have been either proud of or that you learned a lot of things from? I know there's the Live Large with Less. That could be one of them, but.
So I take no credibility or credit for the campaigns because we have an amazing in-house brand team that does all of it. But I think we noticed that when we do something that really engage with our customers is when we do best. So we created this campaign. We ran it 2 summers in a row now, where we challenge our customers to live off 10 Houdini garments for the whole summer. So they get a wardrobe from us, so we can complement what they already have. And we asked them to apply. And last year we got 600 people applying to take part of this challenge for the summer. And then we chose 5. And they posted, social media content for the whole summer. So we just let them take over our Instagram during the summer as well. And to that, we can then tie the products that they used and the events that they did. So we got to share a lot of content and then really engaged with them, but also sell some stuff that they were using as well. We had one guy that, bicycled through Europe in the same shirt that he went to a wedding in during the sale summer. So I think, our belief in our products really resonates with that campaign as well, that we believe that you only have to have 10 Houdini garments for various adventures, right? So that one really worked. And then we've had other campaigns where we wanted to, because we really want to grow outside of Sweden. Sweden is still our biggest market, so we need brand awareness outside of it. So we hired this big London firm to create a campaign for us, which didn't go well at all, because that was too complex and it didn't resonate with our audience at all. So I think that was a learning as well, that we have a really strong in-house team that knows the brand and knows the content. So when we took someone outside, it got too complex, and CTR was quite bad in all stages of the funnel. So that was a huge learning for us, that when we do engage with the customers and do actions on it, then it goes better.
And can you also share a bit for the campaigns that you see really is working, how you work with like using them in the different stages of the funnel? Because you really work with a full funnel strategy right now. And how do you like take one big piece and then use it in different stages?
So I think the storyteller is a good example of that, right? Because the storyteller is based on our icon product. It's looked the same for 20 years, the power hoodie that Jonas is wearing. And I think it's such a core of our brand, that the product should last longer. In the Western world today, an item is worn like 6 to 7 times before it's become landfill. Whereas we've done service on the power hoodie and it's worn 10 years, 1,200 times. So we wanted to put that in the center stage, because it also creates credibility for the brand, right, and what we stand for. So we created like these stories, upper funnel, with video and, built them out, which we then, took down all the funnel. We have the customer reviews that we can really back up the content on and the trust in the funnel, and then into performance ads. And we just try to do it with our wholesalers as well, because we are multi-channel and we probably always will be. So we work really close with wholesale as well and try to run the same campaigns in all channels. And we're getting better at it. But we're a very small marketing team who's trying to cater for multiple channels. So we're trying and we're getting better at it.
And a follow-up question on that. Let's actually see a raise of hands in the room here. How many have been to Houdini's store at Norrlandsgatan, the Circle? We need to change this, Angelica. But can you tell us a bit more about this new concept? Because it's a really innovative concept that you have.
Yeah, so that was one of my latest projects. So Houdini has worked with circular business models for a very long time. So we've had rental and we've had repair, for 20 years. And we, allow customers to bring back garments, but it's quite siloed experiences. So we wanted to create one space where it's fully circular. So the customer goes into Norrlandsgatan and every item is available completely to how you want to use it as a customer. So you can rent a new garment, you can buy a reused, you can hand in your, sell it back, or you can subscribe to them as well. So we're trying to see how would consumers behave if the option was always there. So we did this together with the Boston Consulting Group. They as a pro bono case from them. So they built out the business case with us, the tech solution we needed to do it. There was nothing available to handle a purchase, a rental, and a subscription in the same till, basically. So we built it and see how it works. And now it's been open for about 1.5 months. And it's a pilot to see if it really works and how much money we can make out of each garment when this is available. So we have every garment has an ID, so we can track how many times is something rented out before it's purchased to see the finance in this model. So it's very exciting, and we're hoping it will work.
Yeah, and I definitely recommend everyone to go and check it out, and also check out the new big store on Kungsgatan as well, and compare them because it's a great place. Just in terms of looking at full funnel marketing, is this something that you have seen from? Is this something new for you, or is this something that you have seen from your whole career? How do you look at full funnel marketing and how to use it?
No, I think obviously it's always been full funnel marketing. It's just the channels have been different. Obviously, in FMCG conversion, it's more like at the shelf in store. But I think one of the most important things, and we've talked quite a lot about this, is writing a creative brief is something that I think cannot stress enough how important it is. What is the objective? What is the barrier? Why is the consumer not buying, or why is not the consumer not doing what you want to do? And really focus on that, because I think a lot of the time that's why creatives don't work, is when you don't have a clear enough brief and a clear enough objective, because then you don't know what you're measuring, you don't know what you want the consumer to do. So I think, and that's so important through the entire funnel. What is it you want to achieve in the upper funnel, in the middle, and the lower, and so on. So yeah, I think it's super important thing. When I started at P&G, we did 1 week training of effective brief writing, which is one of the best weeks I've had. It's and especially you talked about USPs before, which is my hate word, because it has to be one, and it needs to be something that's unique. It's not a lot of people are free shipping, it's a USP. No, it's not. USP is what are you giving that no one else is giving, and really find that and then focus on that. So I think that's super important, especially in the upper funnel, because I think sometimes you just end up doing branding and you don't really know what you're trying to achieve. So yeah, super important, but also, and that's when it becomes fun, Yeah.
And we're going to release podcasts with Angelica and Tuss afterwards, so you will also be able to hear more of the deep dives. I think on the podcast, Tuss, you also mentioned a lot about, testing and being experimental is important, but also saying things that we should not even test. Like, can you elaborate a bit on that? Because I think that's also interesting.
Yeah, so I think, you talk about, you hear from a lot of people like, we need to build brand, and you do that in the upper funnel, and then you drive conversion in the lower funnel. But I think like you can do two things at the same time, like build brand and drive conversion. And it's super easy to, say yes to things, but then you also need to say no. And I think it's the no, it's where you protect your brand. It's saying, this is completely off-brand, or this does not suit our consumer, then don't do it. And I think really having that, both the test and learn and the fail, but also the saying no to things that might be fantastic opportunities, and they're going to give you sales in the short term, but they're going to destroy your brand when you're down the line. And that's at the end of the day, if that happens, you lose your organic share of traffic, then your marketing spend ratio is going to go up. So that's a pretty shitty move. So I think, really trying to, for me, that's how you protect your brand, especially in this type of market and economy where you can't, just spend enormous money, budgets on brand building. You have to do it at the same time. So yeah, I think that's my view on it.
So if we go from brand building to brand loyalty, Angelica, how do you work with building brand loyalty in a world where, as you said, people use the garment for 6 or 7 times, right? So how do you work with that?
I think you need a 360 view on the whole customer journey to build loyalty. It's all well, driving traffic to the site and trying to make them buy. But I think making sure that you have the right product fit for the market is super important, and that, the product live up to the expectations. Making sure your brand has a why. It's very, very crowded out there, right? So I think your brand needs to have a purpose and why we exist and why customers should buy us. And we're working a lot with community. Customers don't, at least in the outdoor, I think customers don't just want to buy a product, they want to be part of something. So creating those experiences and meeting spots where customers can, join up and share experiences, talk about the products is very important. We do that a lot through retail meetings and, going away with ambassadors and customers, inviting them to try products before we launch. And then also we see it, I guess, when you buy a product, that's where the journey starts with us. We want to be part of every step of the customer journey of the product. So that's why we want you to repair it until it breaks, until you can't use it anymore. Then you can hand it back into for recycling. So really be there for every step of the journey and trying to, engage and communicate through a lifetime of the product, which is for us up to 10 years, right? That's how long we want you to be talking to us, hopefully.
Great, and we are right on schedule. So thank you very much, Angelica and Tuss, for joining on the panel. And with that, we're gonna say thanks for everyone who joined on the live stream, and for you guys who are here at Google. We have some extra special things that we're gonna do now. So let's thanks for joining on the live stream, and see you guys.